from the Monsters of the Morning on Real Radio 104.1, and you're listening to the voice of UCF, Marc Daniels, and the Beat of Sports on FM 96.9 The Game. You want real sports talk? You got it right here.
Happy Wednesday, boys and girls, and welcome to the Beat of Sports. I'm Marc Daniels. That's Chris Vasquez over there.
That's me.
Chris's last day of the week. Usually I'm the person that is traveling, which I will tomorrow be here for the show, but Chris's last day is today and be out till next Tuesday.
Yep, it's funny. We just had a 4-day weekend. I come back for 2 days, then I'm off again for another, looks like 4-day weekend.
But you're a late packer, you told me. You haven't really packed yet.
Nope. I got so we have my daughter's baptism on Bogota, Colombia. And I got what I'm wearing for the baptism, doing laundry today. And then
what do you got, Alvin Harper jersey?
I got my Spencer Strider jersey. I'm gonna wear that today, but I'm gonna get my hair cut after this.
Okay.
So, gotta get cleaned up.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, maybe rock some Cowboys gear. I gotta get my Malachi Lawrence jersey, but he's not signed yet.
Okay. All right. Well, good.
I'm excited.
All right.
I've been back to Colombia since December.
All right. Everything else good with you?
Everything's good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still a little disappointed with the candy yesterday.
Yeah, Chris tried within the show on the stream. It was supposed to be like this, unbelievable sour candy.
That's what they advertised it as.
It's like a Tic Tac for him. Like nothing to it. People very upset on the stream. I was looking for like something that required medical attention. And
so was I.
Yeah, got nothing out of it.
Very disappointing.
Yesterday, first off, again, happy birthday to Kelly.
Yes.
It was absolutely true story about me getting the balloon this morning.
That's fantastic.
I did not know that little weight thing is where the string is for the balloon. You knew that?
Yes.
I did not know that. So I went by the helium machine to get my own string. And that's when the manager goes, "What are you doing?" "What?" "What? I don't know what you're doing." "Huh?"
You functioned!
Yeah. Well, not me.
I don't think you functioned.
Yeah. I think he thought was I like trying to snort helium or something. His first thought is, dude, it's 7:03. We just opened and I got an issue already. I'm like, what? Yeah.
That's great.
I think we talked about this briefly on air before, but I experienced it at a different store yesterday.
Oh, boy.
Okay, wait. At Publix, right? We've talked about this. You get the feeling when you go order a sub, the people behind the sub counter are like, "Oh, God, what do you want?" Like, there's a reason there's a sub counter. Why is everybody that makes the sub like so upset? Like, I have other things to do than make your sub, right? You just get that vibe. Just like, what do you want? What do you want on it? And, you just get the vibe. It's like there's a reason they set this sub thing up.
Well, I do think it's a lot of the unpreparedness of some customers. I do think it's a lot of...
I still think 3 out of every 4 people that work behind the sub counter, and I get it, they're not just there to work the sub, they're there to work that area. But I'm sorry that you were assigned, hey, subs for the next half hour or 45 minutes.
No, I really do think it's on other people. I do think it's because I've been behind people who are on their phone. Hey, what do you want?
Okay, no, I get that, but so I'm at a different store yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Tuesdays at the Fresh Market is $5 pizza day.
Mm-hmm.
And not every Tuesday, but I will go and for $5, I get a nice size cheese pizza for $5. And all their pizzas are $5, okay? But I'll come home and I'll put my toppings on it. Put some chicken, some bacon, black olives, mushrooms, and so forth. And my wife started sharing, with the pizza. So it's a fun little Tuesday night pizza deal.
Nice.
I get the same vibe. Like I walk in and where you order, which again, there's other things at the counter. They go, "Can I help you?" "Yeah, I'd like the cheese pizza." "Okay, hang on." Like, is it my fault that your chain decides this is a good promotion that clearly works because they've been doing it for multiple years? And yes, would it make you feel better if you were taking a spoon and putting a pound of egg salad in a plastic container? Like, why are you upset at me that I'm ordering the $5 pizza? Same guy, by the way, gives me the same vibe. He's like, "Great. Mr. $5 pizzas here again, everybody. Like, are you discounting the other $86 I just spent here? Okay. I'm paying double for the price of meat because it's good meat. What do you care? I got the vibe.
I mean, at some point, I do kind of understand it.
What do you understand?
You do the same thing day in and day out. You just kind of like, all right, let's get this over with.
No.
What do you want?
No.
What do you want?
I'm telling you, this particular person and another person was working with him yesterday. If you order at the other part of the counter, they're fine. They just don't like the part where, because they do make it fresh, which I appreciate. It's a great deal. But I got the vibe. I got the attitude. Just like, yes, I'd like the double meat ultimate wrap on wheat. On what? Wheat. And then they'll disappear for 4 minutes somewhere in the back and come back out and go, we're out of wheat. Well, what do you have? And then they'll disappear again for 4 minutes and come back and go, I got this. What kind of cheese you want with that? Swiss. I'll have to cut it. Okay. So you want me to cut one slice of Swiss for you? Well, yeah. Okay. And then God forbid I asked it, can you dice the tomatoes? You want me to cut the tomatoes for you? Yes, I do.
Why are you so picky?
I'm picky?
Why are you so picky? Why you gotta have your tomatoes diced?
I like them diced.
Nah, I don't mind.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you need to find a different Publix.
No, it doesn't matter. I've done the people agree with me. They know. People agree.
I don't know. Publixes I go to.
I'm not saying everybody. There's
friendly.
just that vibe. Like, I got better things to do than make your wrap right now. I'm like, okay, but what do you want me to do about it?
By the way, the Publix Ultimate Wrap is on point.
It's fantastic, and I'll get double meat.
I see.
I like the double meat.
I don't do double.
I don't like when it's the wrong charge for the upcharge. It's $4 on the sub. It's only $2 upcharge on the wrap. Which a few times I've got to go, no, I think it's $2. It's $4. The sign says $2, and then they'll do the over the shoulder look back, and they're so pissed that I was right. It's like, okay,
I've been charged. I always do
like they're begging you, turn around so I can spit on your food, right?
I've been charged for boar's head when I always get Publix meat. It's like a 50-cent difference.
There's nothing wrong with Publix meat. If you want boar's head, it's fine, but there's nothing wrong.
No, there's not.
Yeah.
And I won't realize it until I get to the counter and I'm like, do I really need to go back for 50 cents?
It's fine. But
it is annoying.
Every person, by the way, knows what I'm talking about. You get the look of, what kind of cheese? Swiss. I'll have to cut it. Yeah. This would be a good time to tell me the other options, but if you don't want to tell me the other options, yeah, we're cutting it. Yeah.
Was it Swiss?
You want to wait for me to cut it?
Was it Swiss provolone, American, cheddar?
But the right thing is, I'm out of Swiss right now. I've got white American, I got cheddar, I got provolone. Will any of those work? If you just go, well, I'm out of that. Yeah. Well, guess who's going to be cutting up a slice or two right now? Uh-huh. Yeah.
And why would they not cut extra if you got people, depending on what time of day, you might have more people wanting Swiss.
It's all good. It's all good. Keith Smith's going to talk some NBA basketball with us. We got a game 6 coming up with the Thunder trying to close it out after their win last night. We've got a bunch of other NBA things to get to with him. When we come back, Chris, I paused yesterday when I saw this, and it brought back so many childhood memories. So many childhood memories. I'm going to explain coming up, but first, everybody's favorite segment.
It's almost like an unwritten rule that when you become a father, you become king of the bad dad jokes.
What is Forrest Gump's password? 1 Forrest 1.
Are you ready to laugh? We know at least one person is. Here's CB's dad joke of the day.
Oh, that's so great.
Last one of the week. Make it good.
Last one of the week. All right. Which one do I want to do? Let's do this one. Mark, what is a duck's favorite ballet?
I don't know, Chris. What is a duck's favorite ballet?
Do you know this?
I do not.
Okay. The Nutquacker.
Yep. Go for that one. Yep.
He's the voice you trust for the teams you love. You're listening to Marc Daniels and the Beat of Sport.
Chris, I think about different times and eras that kids grow up in. We're going to get to a story later that I know is going to get under your skin, but I don't call kids that are born today that they're born into a tech world with access to information, some good and some dangerous for them at a very, very early age. We kind of joke, but we don't. Your daughter is just over a year old, and you're concerned already about handheld devices and screens in front of her. And it doesn't mean that if you grew up in an era without that one's better than the other. I mean, there are a lot of great kids that maneuver the landmines of social media and access to information. But I was struck yesterday by something that made me stop and give pause, because I grew up at a different time. I mean, there was no internet when I grew up, and I grew up in an era, and we moved from New York to Florida when I was 6.5, not yet 7, and grew up. And I'm grateful because of where my parents chose to live. Like we moved to Florida, lived in actually an apartment first. We moved down with a family of 5, and then my parents got their first home a couple years later. And I grew up in an awesome neighborhood, which was like brand new, being built, and there were so many kids my age at the time, 8, 9, 10, 11, and so forth. And we all played outside. It was safe. Parents didn't care. They weren't worried when you went outside and played. And I was the classic kid that their mom had opened the door and screamed their name to come for dinner because you were out, or after dinner you went out and played. It was summertime, and it's like 9 o'clock at night, and it's now getting dark, and your parents would scream your name and you come in. And I'm forever grateful that I grew up like that. And it doesn't mean that I was better than other kids, but I loved it. And we played everything you can think of. Okay. Everybody either had a yard or in the street, and that was the football field, and 2 driveways was a first down, and everything. And I also grew up in a sports on TV world significantly different than today. And quickly, 10 o'clock hour, WYGM Orlando, WJR HD2 Cocoa Beach. A kid today literally can watch every game, either live or get a completely packaged set of highlights for you. You can get every comment of key players and coaches instantly, right? I mean, I can come in this morning and I can get every press conference of last night's hockey and NBA playoff game, NHL, and okay. But Chris, back when I grew up, there was the baseball game of the week on Saturday at 2:15. Okay, that was it. And I got This Week in Baseball with Mel Allen. That was the week highlights that I got. I would scour the sporting news because it had box scores, and that's how I learned about baseball rosters and players. And thank God my brother quizzed me on what was the starting lineup of the Padres in 1979. And in football, Monday Night Football kicked off at 9 o'clock. That was a really big deal. There was nothing on Thursday and Sundays. And Chris, in college football, you got 1, maybe 2 games. That was it. But Chris, I also grew up watching baseball as a passionate Yankee fan, but as a adopted fan of who? The Braves. Why? Because that's when Ted Turner had this insane idea about a superstation. And to me, watching a team every single day or night, and then years later we got WG and the Cubs, but to watch the Braves was like the biggest thing in the world when you're my age. You're like, there's baseball on Wednesday. Where did this come from? So yesterday I learned the news that Bob Horner had passed away. And when I saw that, Chris, I stopped and I was sad. I was sad. Why? I and we thought Bob Horner was one of the coolest dudes ever. Okay? When I met Dale Murphy a few years ago when UCF did an event in Atlanta, I think it was Gus's first year. We may have just been coming out, or maybe it was Gus's second. We're coming out of COVID restrictions, and they did a donor event up in Atlanta. Went up to Atlanta, It was at Dale Murphy's restaurant bar. His name's just on it. And what am I? I'm in my mid-50s, and it was like the coolest thing. Here I am, I get to broadcast game, but I got to meet and talk to Dale Murphy. And Chris, I was the ultimate little kid. I go, Dale, I'm sure millions of people have told you this. I loved watching you play, and I grew up, and I'm sure he does to everybody, he was as kind as can be. He said, man, it really means a lot. And when I said I remember you as a catcher, he was like, you do? And I'm like, yeah, I'm old. But Bob Horner is 20 years old. He's the first pick of the 1978 draft. And he spends 0 days in the minor leagues, which was unheard of back then. Now you get guys that play in the College World Series. 2 weeks later, they're in a pennant chase in Major League Baseball. But Horner comes up with the gold curly lock hair, and he's a chubby dude, and he's just hitting home runs. And he's doing it in front of 6,000 people. But when you're watching on TV, you think there's 80,000 people at Fulton County Stadium with a very racist Chief Nakahoma coming out of his teepee in right field. Okay. But Chris, we would go, and one of the kids in my neighborhood had a backyard that was surrounded. The house next door and the house behind had pools that were screened in. And they were perfectly positioned that the fence surrounding his house, we would play wiffle ball home run derby. Everybody wanted to be Bob Horner, okay? I'm 11, right? And one of the kids' moms was like, she was awesome. And my mom was great too with food and drinks. But she bought us like 50 wiffle balls, which back then probably cost like $6, okay? And like 4 or 5 bats. And where you'd hit the ball, the reason why it was great is most of the balls would hit the top of the screen and fall right back into the yard. Okay. And if you hit it over, you got bonus points because then either the ball was lost or you had to go fetch it. And and Chris, I'm telling you, yesterday I paused because I was sad to learn about Bob Horner's death, and it instantly brought me back to those summers as I'm 11 and 12 with my group of neighborhood friends playing all the sports that we did. And it brought me back to home run derby at that house and those screens. And it was the coolest thing in the world because you'd hit a ball, it just rolled back down. And if you got a hole, I'm like, whoa, someone's got to go that. And it would be like, how many balls did we lose today and so forth? I loved Bob Horner. And the great thing about Horner and the sad thing about Bob Horner is his fandom totally comes from cable television, the superstation with the Braves. It totally does. And it's not like he hit 65 bombs, hit 30 and so forth, but he was the TV guy. And I want to play a couple of clips here. This is Bob Horner on a day that he hits 4 home runs, okay? And the call is done by John Sterling, the longtime Yankee play-by-play, but who was with the Braves before he went to the Yankees. And I want to play a clip.
And now here's Bob Horner, who has homered twice. He hit a line drive home run fairly well down the left field line his first time up, but his next home run was a rocket off the top of the scoreboard in left center. Going to be 100%, holding a towel through her face. Now the 3-1.
Sterling got the home run call back with Atlanta, took it to New York with him, okay? But Bob Horner was a big dude, okay? And another clip I want to play is the Braves and Padres are in a tense game. There's several hit-by pitches. Pascual Perez, again, if you're part of the cable generation of Braves fans, you saw Pascual Perez pitch. Well, he gets beamed. And the bench is empty. And the Braves and the Padres are in a big-time fight. Champ Summers is playing, isn't that a great name, Champ Summers, is playing for the Padres. And he wants to go into the dugout where Pascual Perez, who got hit by a pitch, who also threw at Padres in this game, he doesn't want to take part in the brawl. He runs into the dugout, and Champ Summers thinks, well, screw this. I'm going to go after Pascual Perez in the dugout. And Ernie Johnson, also legendary Braves announcer, you may have to turn the audio up on this, is part of the call. And Bob Horner decides you're not getting a Pascual Perez.
He was held back by somebody. Here he goes. Summers charging after Perez. Bob Horner has come out. We've got some fans involved now. Oh, my. Oh, my.
Okay, Champ Summers runs towards the dugout, and Chris, Bob Horner is at the top of the steps, and Champ Summers, you can tell his mind goes, holy blank. And he pulls up because Bob Horner is like, you could either try to get in, I'm going to beat the crap out of you, you can stop here. And as he stops, okay, other players are running over. One fan throws a beer towards Champ Summers and Bob Horner, and another fan jumps into the fight and is on the field as the fight's going on. I'm going to send you the clip so you can see it. And it was like, oh, that's right. Bob Horner's standing there. Don't mess with Bob Horner. And he didn't. So I was saddened when I learned about Bob Horner because he was one of my favorite Braves players during this incredible time that brought me back to childhood memories. It was really cool and really sad that I heard about his passing. And by the way, was absolutely part of the players that got screwed when the owners colluded. When Bob Horner became a free agent, received 0 offers because owners had decided, and of course they lost in court, and Horner was paid later, but got 0 offers as a free agent. And his career was cut short. He went to play in Japan a little bit. Then he battled some injuries along the way, but everybody wanted to beat Bob Horner. Everybody wanted to be Dale Murphy. He was America's player. Oh, sorry. But Bob Horner, great story. I shared a childhood memory, and hopefully there's a couple people in the audience that go, I remember Bob Horner. And yeah.
I did read up a little bit when I got the notification. I think it was the
Athletic. You got the clip? You have to open the clip to see the fan. Go to the one, which is great for radio, but go to like the 110 mark.
110.
See Summers run towards the dugout.
All right, so I got a Padres player running.
You see Horner at the top of the step, right?
There's the beer. Oh, there it is.
See the guy jumps into the fight. The fan jumps into the fight.
And he just blends in. He's wearing a white shirt just like the Braves.
Yeah. There you go.
Nice.
Great. So that's my Bob Horner story. That brought me back yesterday. Got a kick out of that.
Who is your favorite baseball player of all time?
My favorite baseball player of all time? Yeah, I don't know if I have any one specific player. As much as the Yankees have had success, there's a good chunk of my life that the Yankees were horrendous. Just like really, really bad. So it goes to a period of players. I mean, Don Mattingly, I wish would have had the chance, if not for the strike, into the playoffs. Obviously, Derek Jeter, but I was more grown up and so forth. But I'm telling you, as a little kid, and there was no choice in my house, you rooted for the Yankees. But growing up as a Braves cable child, that was a lot of bad Braves baseball. As I can reel off great names of really bad Braves players. And then when the Cubs came on the cable, like, whoa, what's this 205 stuff here on a Tuesday with the Cubs?
Well, I'm like you. I was, I grew up Channel 12, TBS, Atlanta Braves baseball. And, obviously my favorite player is Chipper Jones. And kind of like you.
Came many years later. Yeah.
But like you, I'd always try and emulate, I played Little League Baseball, and I was trying to emulate Chipper's stance. I always wanted to try and be a switch hitter like Chipper. I cannot bat righty to save my life. So I just stuck lefty, but I always loved Chipper's left-handed batting stance.
I'd love to get back in that house, play that wiffle ball home run derby again. It was great. Keith Smith talks basketball next.
Time to talk basketball with Keith Smith. The latest on the Magic and around the NBA. Follow Keith on Twitter at Keith Smith NBA.
We talk basketball with Keith. Again, you can support his work on X or Twitter at Keith Smith NBA, and the links to everything that Keith writes about. He's got a great series of team reviews and previews about their cap situation and what lies ahead for them. Good morning, Keith. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
All right, we got a 3-2 lead for OKC. Let's start there. Thoughts on Game 5 last night, and do you think we might get a Game 7, or perhaps is OKC in position to win it in Game 6?
Yeah, I think we're going to get a Game 7. I think we've seen whenever Victor Wembanyama has an underwhelming performance, he comes back with a really big game. And I didn't love that he chose not to address the media, or maybe the Spurs chose not to have him speak to the media, whichever direction that went. You got to stand up there, and, if you're the leader of the team, you got to do what you got to do. But I think, on court, we've seen when he struggles, he usually bounces back in a big, big way. They're going to be at home, so that lift behind them. But I think this ended any chance that they have at winning the series, because even if they get it to a Game 7, I think we're going to see Oklahoma City take care of business.
What is a common theme through 5 games? I mean, the pace is, it's back and forth. I mean, all these games are physical, but are there a couple of things that stands out that's been a theme for 5 games, Keith?
Yeah, I mean, some of it is the free throws. There's definitely been a lot of free throws. There were a lot of them last night. Both SGA and Wembanyama both scored a lot of points without, hitting a lot of shots, because they got a lot of their points at the free throw line. Now that's just, kind of how it goes with those guys. But I think the bigger thing to really kind of, focus on is, I think it's whatever team can lock in a little bit better defensively has won these games, whether that's the Spurs being able to keep the Thunder from getting anything in and around the paint and staying locked up to SGA and the perimeter shooters, because Wemby's really controlling things inside. Or on the other side, if it's the Thunder really not only turning the Spurs over, but turning them over with live ball turnovers, where they can get out and run and do all kinds of stuff that way.
All right, we've got a Knicks sweep and a lot of things that I'm curious your thoughts about. First, what do you think we're watching during this 11 games run for the Knicks, which is historic, based on other NBA seasons and playoff runs?
Yeah, it's funny. I've been saying for the last couple of days, I don't hear anybody tell me about path, because path doesn't matter when you're beating everybody by 30 plus points. Like, you could put anybody in front of them, they're going to beat them right now. They are playing unbelievable basketball. I think Mike Brown has his functional rotation of the 8 or 9 guys that he trusts, that he's going to put on the floor, and he's just going to run with those guys. And because of all these blowouts, he's able to do that without putting too much strain on his starting group. He's not having to even ask them to play in the fourth quarter sometimes. Sometimes they're only out there for 30, 32 minutes, and that's more than enough for them to get it done. So it's been an incredible run. And I also think, too, people need to stop with the idea of, well, it doesn't matter. Whoever comes out of Thunder Spurs is just going to, wipe the floor with the Knicks. Like, it's not going to be how it goes. Everybody said that last year. The Pacers were able to play well and gave the Thunder a lot of trouble. They might have even won the title if Tyrese Halliburton doesn't get hurt. And I think this Knicks team is a lot better than that Pacers team was. So I think there's a real chance that they're going to win the championship.
Keith, there's no question that Jalen Brunson deserves credit for his play and how well he's been. I think there is something to be said on 2 things. One, Mike Brown made the adjustment of running more offense through Cat. And the Cat that the Knicks have got this year in the postseason significantly different than a year ago, whether it's Mike Brown found the right thing to get to Karl Anthony Towns. But, yes, the Knicks would have a challenge wherever they play in the West, but he becomes a challenge now simply because he can play so far out.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's always been a guy you could do more with as far as the passing ability and all that. But you're absolutely right. When you are kind of making him a focal point in different ways, it's not just, all right, well, we're going to get him in on duck-ins and post-ups and throw him the ball there. That becomes kind of easier to defend. Or if it's going to be straight Brunson Towns pick and roll, and he's only going to pick and pop, that becomes easier to defend. Now he's starting possessions as the ball handler, as the passer, and that's allowing not only Jalen Brunson, but also Anunoby, Bridges, Hart. Those guys are really good, smart cutters. Their spacing is terrific within that starting group. And then, Towns is more than happy. I think for him, the key has been just involve him. It's when you're kind of, letting him just be a screen setter and he's going 3, 4, 5 possessions in a row without touching the ball, then I think that's when you don't get a lot out of him. That's when you get the silly fouls and you get, because he tries to overdo it to make impacts other ways. I think there is, a chance here where there's now, by you involving him, you're getting a better effort all the way around. Yeah, there's still going to be a silly foul here and there, and that's just who he is at this point. But for the most part, he's been really, really good for the Knicks, and he's given them a lot of production on both ends of the floor.
Keith, there's a reason why these teams left are playing, because they're good. But I was chatting, and I said yesterday on the show, if you're a Magic fan, watching these games has to bother you, because you see, if you can't have shooters, if you can't have guys that their sole job is to shoot, and again, it's hard to say that Landry Shamet's going to go 11 of 12 as he's gone, but Shamet and Deuce McBride, and then the guys that are in your lineup, if you can't shoot, you can't win. And look at OKC and San Antonio, and that's still a glaring weakness for the Magic. So even a healthy Franz and a new coach that figures out how to use Franz and Paolo, you got to find shooters. Otherwise, you're not going to be playing in June.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll be better in the regular season. You might even win a round, maybe even 2 in the playoffs, but you're just not going to make a super deep run where it is, playing into the finals, because like you said, if you can't shoot the ball, it just becomes impossible to score in the playoffs. When in the regular season, you can get away with it more because teams don't have time to build a game plan for every opponent in the regular season. It's when you're playing every other day, or sometimes even three games in 4 days and back to back, you're focused on yourself. It's what do we do well? Let's execute our stuff, and we'll hope that's good enough. In the playoffs, especially if a series ends early, the Knicks, they're already prepping game plans for both the Thunder and the Spurs, just like they did for either the Cavs or the Pistons. They've just got their feet up, and they're getting ready. And if you have any of that, or just even if you just know, all right, hey, we're going to be playing the same team sometime between 4 and 7 games over the next week or two, they're going to build a specific game plan. And if your whole game plan is built around, all right, it's got to all be inside because we can't make jump shots, it's going to be really impossible, because so much of this is about spacing out and spreading the floor.
All right, hot take TV was, well, you got to fire Kenny Atkinson after his analytics comment. I'm like, okay, the comment is stupid. He doubled down even after Game 4. But Kenny Atkinson shouldn't be fired in Cleveland, okay? They still had a really good season. They announced, or I guess reported yesterday, he's coming back. Maybe you think otherwise, but what do the Cavs do now? Because this team can't win the East. I mean, they can't beat the Knicks. The Knicks have owned them outside of a stretch of a couple of games. So what do the Cavs do? Because, okay, you got to a conference final, but you didn't win a game.
Yeah, so and not only that, you weren't, you had the huge lead in Game 1, but other than that, you weren't even competitive. They got their butts whooped in the other 3 games, and games were finished and well over before the final buzzer. So now the Cavs already made the change of the coach adjustment by going from J.B. Bickerstaff to Kenny Atkinson. They started the roster change stuff a little bit by swapping out Darius Garland for James Harden. Now what it's going to be is you're going to see more roster change, and it's going to be, all right, Atkinson, we're going to give you a different look with the roster. You're going to have some other guys coming back. They're simply too expensive to just run it back the way they are, because you can't count on, we'll get better, that way. So it's, we'll see, how that kind of comes together. But it's, we're going into another place. So what you're looking at here with the Cavs is going to be, we're going to make changes here. And now if this next season it doesn't get done, now you're kind of changing everything. It's going to be roster changes. Kenny Atkinson probably goes. They'll start over, not full rebuild and drop to the bottom, but they're going to start over as best they can.
Today, important day for guys to make a decision about staying in the draft or going back to college. And then we got another deadline coming up in a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, so today is for college players have to decide they're going to stay in the draft or not. That's the NCAA's deadline. The NBA's deadline is June 13th. It's always 10 days out from the draft. Draft's on Tuesday, June 23rd this year. Yes, it is a Tuesday, so everybody needs to adjust to that. It is a 2-day draft again first round, the 13th, second round, the 14th. But by the 13th, everything finalizes. That's really now down to the international guys who are going to come or go, and we're still looking at about probably somewhere between 7 and 8, maybe 10 players that are up in the air a little bit with what they're going to do with their eligibility, and we'll see. I tend to think it's probably going to go about 50-50. About half of them will stay, half of them will go. There's a lot of good players in the draft, but a lot of good players return back to college, because that's the nice thing about this process is you can go through the combine, you can do some workouts, get feedback, and now these players know if we go back, we got a whole lot of NIL money waiting for us, whether it's at our school or we're going to transfer to another school, so they're going to get paid anyway. But yeah, we're down to it on decision day.
Last one here, and actually two questions. One, James Harden, do you think he's a Cavalier next year? And would that be a smart move? And then for Jalen Duren, we talked about the bad postseason, the financial commitment that's there. And is he somebody that you could move in a trade as we head towards the draft that could go on draft night?
Yeah, well, you can't trade Jalen Duren at the draft because he's a free agent. So, and you can't do any kind of line up a sign and trade that's going to involve draft capital, because that would be that's like blatant tampering, because you're still a week or so out from free agency opening. So he's not going to get traded. But are they going to sign him? That's a whole other thing. He is now, because he made All NBA, which I have to remind everybody. Yeah, he struggled in the playoffs, so it's a regular season award. You vote for it before the playoffs even start. Like, he earned it in the regular season, no matter how much he struggled in the playoffs. So now he's eligible for the 30% of the cap max. I imagine his agent's going to say, well, that's where we start, because everybody who's gotten there, like, they get a max. And I think the Pistons are like, we don't even really want to go to the 25% of the cap max, and that's where the negotiations begin. I think he'll probably be back in Detroit, because it's just, once you have the player, it becomes very hard to replace the guy. And he was good in the playoffs last year. This year wasn't quite as good. So, you hope, all right, well, we can get him back to last year. We just kind of move forward. And then with James Harden, yeah, I think he is going to be back in Cleveland. I don't think it's going to be anything near the $42 million player option he has. I think he'll probably opt out, and then they'll work out something that's a 2 or 3 year deal with some team protection on the final season. But I do think he's going to be back in Cleveland. What I want to watch for is how much does he give back? Does he give back enough where him being back plus one other move, that opens up the non-taxpayer MLE for them and gets them under the apron? That becomes a far more interesting story as they look forward to building out this roster. Maybe it's buzzing out there. Maybe a LeBron James homecoming.
Support his work. He's on X or Twitter, Keith Smith NBA. The links to everything Keith's writing about. A lot of good stuff in the offseason and a lot of things still happening on the court. Thank you, Keith. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Up next, he said it. I think he means it. And maybe his bluff needs to be called. I'll explain next. To be the sports on this Wednesday, you can listen to the show at FM 96.9 AM 740 on the iHeart app anywhere in the world in podcast form, where you get your favorite podcast by typing in the Beat of Sports on Demand. And you can watch the video stream live or back when it's convenient for you. Go to our YouTube page. Just type in 96 in the game Orlando. Click on the logo on the live button, and you can watch it live or watch it back when we're done. That's simple. Watch it right now. By the way, new shirt. My wife got me for a birthday.
Oh, very nice.
You know, light, casual, comfortable.
Very nice.
You know, feels good.
And it's not white.
It's not a white shirt. When I wear white shirts in the stream, I look like a ghost. So yeah, it's not a white shirt. Yeah. The SEC continues their meetings in Destin or Miramar Beach. The Big 12 is in Frisco with a little bit of golf and some meetings going on there. Conference meetings have been going on the last couple of weeks. And you can understand why the SEC gets the most attention. It's the great American sports soap opera. But the comments of one particular coach stood out to me, and he wasn't alone. It's the way he presented it. And one, he's an excellent football coach, probably a really bright person, probably at times thinks through some things when discussing issues. But I also want to ask him, and I'll never get that opportunity, to explain what he sees, a world that he thinks may be the option for the place that he plays. So I want to play a clip first, Chris. This is Kirby Smart. Okay, first, would anybody argue Kirby's one of the best coaches in college football?
He is.
Nobody would argue that. The body of work speaks for itself. This is Kirby Smart yesterday when a number of SEC football coaches spoke to the media, and well, here's the clip, and then I'll comment. Okay.
But I've said this for a long time to our president. I've been a huge advocate that if we can't find rules that everybody plays by, then we should, play our own. I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid to break away and say that our conference is strong enough to go out and have and play. I mean, like if we could actually function and it financially would make our programs more stable and we could support things financially. I'm talking about all the sports and do by our own rules. I'd be all for that. I mean, I've been to this meeting now 10, 11 times, and it's frustrating at times to say, well, we can't do this because of litigation. We can't do this because of litigation. We can't do this because we'll get sued. We can't do that. And we're just trying to do things for the betterment of the sport and the betterment of the student athletes. And that's not curtailing what money they make. I'm not advocating that they make less money. I'm fine with what student athletes make. I'm trying to make it where it's as equal and as comparable footing for everybody. And it's not a race to the bottom, as they say. But
again, I respect Kirby Smart. I don't know if he realizes how many times he contradicted himself in a 58-second clip. And in fairness to Kirby Smart, he spoke for over 20 minutes. And I actually went back and watched both ends of what was that clip in case I missed something. But, Chris, I'm going to accuse you. This is the beginning of this 58-second clip here.
I've said this for a long time to our president. I've been a huge advocate that if we can't find rules that everybody plays by, then we should, play our own.
Okay, let's stop for a second. Your conference voted to accept rules the College Sports Commission put forth less than 2 years ago. Your school and its conference accepted new governance put forth less than 2 years ago. So what are you talking about? Now, you may not like the rules, but 2 years ago, they all thought this is a good idea. We're all in, right? Then your money people said, careful, if you do that, it may not be in our best interest. So what they've used is, hey, that College Sports Commission, they're holding up NIL deals, and they're doing it with most of the money from our league and the Big Ten. You agree by the rules. The reason why they're holding up the money is because you guys found every loophole in the world, you meaning the SEC and to a degree the Big Ten, on like, well, well, there's a gray area here about how we want to pay these people and all sorts of stuff. So when you say you want rules, they gave you rules. Your conference decided, well, we're not really going to follow them. He goes on to add,
Not afraid of that. I'm not afraid to break away and say that our conference is strong enough to go out and play. I mean, like if we could actually function and it financially would make our programs more stable and we could support things financially. I'm talking about all the sports and do by our own rules. I'd be all for that.
Let's do this then. Okay. Let's play that game for a second. Okay. Because Chris, he did say, then we'll just break away.
Yep.
Okay. So I played a couple different clips of this guy to bring up what he said. This is, again, Iowa State Athletic Director Jamie Pollard from an interview that he did early last week with his frustration about the whole CSC and not aligning McGovern and so forth. And I want to play a portion of that.
Let them break away. I'd say I would turn it around and say we should break away from them. Let them go, but they have to go in all their sports and see how fun it is to play baseball and softball and track when it's just the 20 of you.
Okay. And then people went back to Jamie Pollard and said, hey, you want to correct what you had said? And he didn't take everything back, but he did bring this up a few days ago.
Two of the conferences just clearly don't want to follow what they created, which is just perplexing to me.
So he's basically telling you, look, we created rules. You guys didn't like it. But the other clip of him saying break away. So let me go down Kirby Smart's path here. Let's say the SEC throws its arms up and say, forget it. You know what? We'll set our own rules and we'll leave the NCAA. Okay. And Kirby said, for all of our sports, okay, I'll step into your world for a second. Let's say during that you decide, 16, we want to go grab a few more schools. How many? Well, at some point, 24, that's a piece of the pie that doesn't really become as attractive. You may say, well, they'll add all this money. Got to be careful because at some point, it doesn't really add more dollars. You're just dividing the pie up more. But I'll dance. Let's say they go pick 4 out of the ACC, and they decide we'll take Miami, we'll take Florida State, we'll take Clemson, North Carolina. And they go. And they take 20. And they go, you know what? We're gonna govern ourselves. Okay. How's that going to work? Well, we'll decide. We'll collectively bargain with the athletes. That was brought up yesterday at the SEC meetings. And by the way, part of the agenda at the SEC, they have people that they brought in to actually talk about collective bargaining. Oh, okay. So you want to say, in order to play in the SEC, you'll have to join a union, an association. Okay. That'll be interesting because you got some states in the SEC that you can't do that. But okay, fine. You'll do that. But let's go back to what Jamie Pollard said. No. You're going in everything. You're going in everything. Well, Chris, the Georgia president of the University of Georgia said, well, if we went our own, we'll crown our own champion. Great. Maybe you'll want to take 20 teams, divide them into 2 groups of 10, and you'll play and crown your own champion. And you may say, well, who would argue? I mean, the Big Ten might argue the last 3 years because they were the national champs. But we'll break away. And they say, well, what if the Big Ten came with us? Okay, let's dance. Let's dance. They got 18. Maybe they want to add a couple more. And you go, see, that's ultimately what it is. But let me go back to Jamie Pollard, the Iowa State AD. No, you're out. You don't get to play in the NCAA tournament. Well, you really think they'll have an NCAA tournament without us? Why not? Well, it won't be a true champion. Hey, you chose to leave. College World Series, you don't get to play in that. Well, no one's going to view your College World Series if you don't get your slew of 4 or 5 SEC teams. Too bad. You don't get to play. And then the other sports you may not care about. Hey, Orlando, USTA, you're getting the tennis championships the next decade. Yeah, those schools aren't going to be well, they won't have championships without us. Yeah, they would. Well, you wouldn't crown them as true national champion. Hey, you broke this up. You broke this up. And by the way, the NCAA basketball tournament, yeah, again, you're out. Yeah, you can't take us out. Sure we can. Well, there wouldn't be an NCAA tournament without us. Then you're going to be the ones that ruin it. You'll be the ones that ruin it. Because is that the world that we want to head towards? Is that it? because I'll bring it back to Kirby again. Okay. Let's say that's the world that we want to create. You may sleep at night saying, who cares if we ruin the NCAA basketball tournament? We're able to play football the way we want to play football. And if you win our new 20-team SEC, well, you're the national champion. Or maybe we'll do some sort of deal with, the Big Ten. Okay, fine. And you know what? Your life's going to be fine. But let's go back to another thing. Let's really do this. Chris, I'm going to use you again as a sounding board, okay? And maybe you want the list of schools in front of you. How many brands are we really talking about here, okay? How many brands are we really talking about? That are true blue blood power brands, okay? You got the list up in front of you?
I'm bringing it up now.
Which conference are you going to first?
We'll go let's start at the top. We'll go with the ACC here.
No. SEC and Big Ten.
SEC and Big
I
Ten.
mean,
All right.
Kirby's telling about a world that they don't need anybody else. So
all right, Big Ten. I guess you could say Michigan,
okay,
Ohio State.
okay.
They haven't been good. Do you want to count Nebraska?
I don't know. We're going on the third decade of irrelevance. Go ahead.
USC.
Okay. Penn State, Oregon. By the way, are we counting Indiana now? Because we're 2 years removed of a bottom feeder. So are we now making them part of the... Here's my point, okay? What do you need Purdue for? What do you need Mississippi State for? I mean, forget about breaking away of everybody else. You're going to look around going, I don't know, these guys drive any TV value along the way here? I mean, we don't want to do this equally, do we? I mean, you want to do that? How many brands? Break away. Go ahead. Listen, I have no idea where this goes. And Kirby's world may be the future, and the future may be happening sooner than later. Maybe a school like UCF gets left out. They'll kill it. They'll kill it. And by the way, some of you wouldn't care. Like if you're a college football fan and the only time you tune into the NCAA, to college basketball is March Madness, you wouldn't care. Right? Like an Alabama football fan, of course, they wouldn't care. If the SEC broke away, they'd be proud of it. About time. About time. And by the way, again, I'll live in that world. Chris, they break away, right? They form a collective bargaining agreement with the Players Association. You're going to set what? A cap? Like, you're serious, right? You're going to set a cap? Two things. One, what's the cap? And is everybody going to follow it? Because I don't care what kind of year Vanderbilt had last year with Diego Pavia. You think that's now a power? You think they're going to keep up with Georgia and LSU in spending? Really? Well, we'll have a ceiling and a floor. And you're going to follow that rule. And Texas A&M, right? You'll set a number and everyone's going to follow it, right? Because you don't want the other group's governance, right? You want your own. You trust the people in your own league to do it, right? Like, you're joking here, right? And then collectively bargain. Really? You want to go down that path? Why would players agree to that? Well, in order to play SEC football, no, you got to get them to agree. Because you know what collective bargaining, Chris, you know what most pro leagues, the revenue split is? It's about 50-50. It's off by a few percentage points, right? You want to do that? Really? You want to go down that path? Because I don't care what TV money you think you're making now and how much you make in the future. You want to go down that path and give half the revenue to the players? There's no scenario where you would want to do that. None at all. So, again, I appreciate Kirby Smart having an opinion, and I'm not telling you it's not well thought out, although I'm not quite sure it's well thought out. And I don't profess to know what the solution is either, but it is comical when you tell me, well, if we break away, then we can get a set of rules that works for us. I don't argue for a second. Your set of rules and priorities are different than the MAC. I don't even argue that your set of rules and priorities slightly different than the ACC and Big 12 because the amount of money you're talking about. But what makes you think you're going to follow your own rules if you went on your own? What? You want the same thing that Mississippi State has? Like, are you kidding me? Who's going to police who? Like when you violate your own salary cap, you're going to accept the penalties of it? Like you're going to not go above whatever you think the cap is because Texas may get a guy that you want and you got to go $3 million over the salary cap and you don't care? Come on, man. Stop it. Just stop it. Or Mike Elko at Texas A&M, I didn't pull that clip, said, we need a CEO. Yeah, of course. Yeah. His name's Greg Sankey, okay? A CEO of college football. Yeah, because what? Now your conference will follow a CEO? Come on. Really? The 11 o'clock hour kicks off with the news next.
Let's really do the news.
Yes. Now it is time to do the news.
But now it's time for the news.
11 o'clock hour, WYJ Orlando, WJRHD2 Cocoa Beach, Orlando sports leader. Marc Daniels, the BOS Sports. Chris Vasquez producing over there. OKC moves within one win of getting back to the NBA Finals. Last night, they beat the San Antonio Spurs in Game 5 with a 127-114 win. SGA went for 32. Not a great night shooting for him, but he did take 17 free throws in the game. Kind of a quiet night, an off night for Victor Wembanyama. 20 points, 4 of 15 shooting, and did not speak to the media afterwards.
Showing that maturity or lack of.
Yeah. Travis Kelce's buying into the Cleveland Guardians. At the SEC meeting session. I don't know what else to say. Whatever. He was at one Cavs game. They got killed. They didn't come back for game 4. I don't know. I'll buy a piece of the Guardians now. I don't, whatever. At the SEC spring meetings, the conference announced that they'll be playing conference games the second to last weekend of the regular season that had been known mostly for the Cupcake weekend, where they typically played a FCS school or low-level G6. And even Commissioner Greg Sankey said, quote, the end of the Cupcake weekend. Just my opinion, they didn't vote anything. ESPN said, hey, this crap ends, okay? We're not doing this thing in November, okay? I'm not deciding on Alabama, Charleston, Southern, or Mercer and Auburn. I need a conference matchup, and that's how things happen. Back to the NBA, Joe Mazzulla, Coach of the Year, beat out J.B. Bickerstaff. The news yesterday that Kenny Atkinson is going to be back as a coach of the Cavaliers. That was a classic hot take reaction. Look, Kenny Atkinson's analytic comments were stupid after Game 3. His comments about, the problem was the 2 6-game losses that sent him to a Game 7, and then the schedule playing every other night. That was also stupid. But in the regular season, Kenny Atkinson was a really good coach for the Cavaliers, and he's going to come back with them next season. U.S. men's national soccer team announced their roster for 26. If you're a diehard fan, you can do deep dive in a lot of places. There are a couple interesting decisions, but my feeling is, again, this team is headed into the World Cup with little to no momentum. Doesn't mean that they can't get on a run, but not quite sure how deep they go. NHL last night, the Las Vegas Golden Knights sweep the Colorado Avalanche with a 2-1 win 4-0. John Tortorella back in a Stanley Cup final, and heck of a run for the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Mentioned earlier the passing of Bob Horner. Again, that kind of hit me. 4,583. What is that? 4,583.
It's a pretty big number.
This morning, secondary market, cheapest ticket for game 3 of the NBA Finals.
Ridiculous.
You can right now, Chris, take out your credit card and you can get a couple of courtside seats for Game 4 for $103,034.
You want to split it?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's per ticket.
So you don't want to split it with me?
Yeah.
Come on, it's your Knicks. NBA Finals.
I told Kelly yesterday. He asked me how much I would spend in a NBA final clinching game, which would have to be games, 4 or 6 in New York. And I couldn't go without my wife. I said $3,000, $1,500 each.
So $1,500 per ticket's the limit,
I think. Yeah. I don't know. Depends on what the stock portfolio is that week. Pretty good week last week.
Would you spend?
Go to $4,000.
Would you spend more to go to a Giants Super Bowl or a Knicks NBA Finals?
Knicks NBA Finals because it's home.
Fair.
I was at the Giants Bills Super Bowl in Tampa, which was, it's great to be there and everything, but to do it, on a home court. Now, getting out of the Garden had the Knicks
Ugh.
win and what the streets would be like.
Might as well just sleep there.
That might be like the Warriors movie. The baseball furies with bats in the street and, all that stuff. But, yeah, that would be kind of wild. By the way, this is a uncomfortable story, but Packers running back Josh Jacobs arrested Tuesday, booked on several domestic violence charges. Did you read this story? Did you read the report?
I saw some of the charges, and I couldn't bring myself to read it.
I don't know if dude's playing anytime soon. I don't know about this one.
I know he's denied the allegation.
Yeah, and has a right to defend himself. But if a portion of the report is true, he's got issues, man. He's got a lot of stuff that he's going to be dealing with. And again, he has his right to defend himself, but
I just don't get it.
Yeah. Not a good story at all. So that's what's happening in the world of sports. When we come back, a story that I know will get Chris hot. We'll get to that next.
Great.
Hey, it's Johnny Magic from Johnny's house.
Look, we've got you covered with the hits and what's going on in the city beautiful.
And Mark, he's got everything you need to know in the sports world, with maybe a touch of sarcasm.
This is the Beat of Sports with Marc Daniels.
I don't know the exact number of years, but as long as Johnny's been in the market, I've known him, which I think is 30 years.
Very nice guy.
I love Johnny. Really, really nice person. Last day of the week for Chris, who's out the rest of the week and Monday. I'll be here tomorrow and then off to Auburn for UCS Baseball Regional, play North Carolina State on Friday. But we got Chris for the rest of this show. So I teased this earlier, and I'd seen this clip. And then when Chris sent it to me, I think he took my response wrong. Hey, it's an old clip, meaning I meant the topic. It's not new, but the clip went viral, and sometimes, I'm always curious why something takes off, and then you understand that, well, a lot of people can relate to this and therefore have a strong opinion. So I want to play this clip that aired on one of our cable news channels that is not politics related. Again, I don't care about your politics. There he goes again. But it drives Chris crazy. And then I'll let Chris explain why it drives him crazy, even though it is a growing trend, although not new, has been going on for not just a year or 2 years or 5 years, but maybe happening more. So here's the clip, and then Chris can comment.
A growing number of middle school athletes are tapping into the red shirt trend and delaying their start to high school. Our senior national correspondent, William Lajeunesse, is live from our West Coast newsroom. We're all interested to hear this. William?
So, Sandra, did your parents ever say, you better get your grades up, little lady, or you're going to repeat 8th grade? Well, now some 13-year-olds are doing it by choice, hoping to get into a better school, a bigger scholarship, or more NIL money.
I play baseball because I love the game, but it's cool to know that if I do what I love, I'll get a little bit of money out of it.
Carter Cancelleri is attending 8th grade a second time by choice.
It's given him an extra year to work on both his academic skills and his athletic skills.
15-year-old Carter is part of a growing trend of young athletes reclassing.
It's for students that are currently in 8th grade, and they get an additional year of middle school to delay their start of high school. Once you start high school, you have a 4-year clock, academically and athletically.
Michael Hatcher started the Elite Performance Academy at a public middle school in Orange County, California.
Kids can come in person and have access to 2 separate classes. One is a speed and agility class and also a strength and power class.
After losing students to private schools, Hatcher decided to give parents what they wanted.
I'm witnessing more people doing it and doing it wrong, to be honest, or doing it loudly.
Consultant Shanae Howard offers families a reality check.
It's a 1% chance for them to go D1. 1%. For D2, 1%.
Of 8 million high school students in sports, only 7% will play in college. So far, 10 students signed up for Hatcher's Performance Academy. But across town, enrollment at this private sports program is booming. It's not cheap. Parents pay thousands a year at schools like this, but believe the investment is worth it.
Hopefully when I get to the MLB and I'm making a lot more money than $50K, I'll be able to pay him back.
Well worth it. I would do it again in a heartbeat.
So skeptics say, given the odds of making it a D1 or any college sports, kids are better off concentrate, most of them, on academics. On the other hand, Sandra, right, the number one pick in this year's NBA draft, expected anyway, did 8th grade twice. So the point is there are options out there for parents who want it.
Okay.
Are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me?
No.
This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And can we stop with the garbage of, oh, well, we get another year of academics. Shut up. Shut up. Oh, the fact that these parents are letting their kids repeat 8th grade to not start their high school clock, put the work in as you go. Why?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No.
This is so asinine. This is so dumb. This is so dumb.
Okay.
You're going to repeat
Yeah.
eighth grade
Yes.
because you think it's going to
By the way,
help. You think it's going to help make you bigger?
By the way, repeat eighth grade, not because you're struggling academically. It's repeat eighth grade, maybe with a different academic agenda or curriculum, to give yourself another year to physically grow athletically and then begin your clock in high school a year later as your body's matured because, hold on, Chris, the movement in the world of NIL is the older the player, the greater the interest and bigger the dollar. So by entering college at the age of 19 or maybe even those getting into 20, I've now matured physically and have more opportunities to play and make money. That's the mindset. Whether it actually works, there's a very small number that it works for.
So one, nobody gives a damn about trying to make it professional anymore because they see what's coming in college right now, and that's the goal. Why am I going to put in work for all these years to try and make it professional when I can just go to college and get paid millions of dollars?
Yeah, but what's wrong with that?
That's the goal.
Okay, what's wrong with that?
What do you mean what's wrong with that? The goal is to make
Chris,
it
10 years ago, listen, wait.
No, we're giving these kids
an out. Chris, 10 years ago, the only way to be paid was to make it professionally. What has happened in recent years is now the opportunity exists to be paid and when Keith Smith was on earlier, he was talking about the deadline today for guys to go back to college. Okay. Milan Momcilovic is one of the best shooters in college basketball, played at Iowa State. Okay. I don't know what he's going to do because he may be late first, early second round pick. If he goes back, and it won't be at Iowa State, but if he goes back and it may be at LSU, who's signing everybody, he might get $5 million. What's the downside of that? That now is out there. And the trickle-down effect, as crazy as it is even now in high school, you can look to find opportunities. So the concept sounds crazy to you, okay? There's two things I want to bring up on the piece that ran, that they talked about. One was a program that somebody had started that had, I think he said, about 8 kids that have signed up. That's through public school. The reason why that program was started, and then he added, is because, hey, here's this private school that's designed as an athletic factory where you send your, it's like IMG here, okay? You're not going to IMG because they got a good American history program, okay? You're going to IMG because you've got an unbelievable backhand in tennis at 14 that you can turn pro at 16, or you're a 6'5" wide receiver that, wants to go make significant money in college, okay? Let me pivot to something, and it wasn't a focus at this point, but let me pivot to something locally, okay? Because this is happening, okay? Orange County Public Schools, and I'm reading from a Orlando Sentinel story, Stephen Walker, who writes about education. Orange County Public Schools will launch a micro school this coming August for elementary school students. Chris, listen before you freak out. For students passionate about baseball and softball. Okay? These are grades 3 through 6. Okay? You're rolling your eyes right now because you think it's crazy. Do you know why they're doing this?
Why?
Because the significant drop in athletes going to public schools. Because we've lost athletes in public schools in this particular area to private schools because of the athletic resources they have. Now, we are, I guess you can say, lucky or blessed to have incredible private schools that put resources in athletics in this area, from Lake Highland to First Academy to Windermere Prep to Bishop Moore, and I'm leaving some others out, that put money into athletics. And what's happened is, and I do give Orange County Public Schools credit for this because this is a pilot program that if it works, they will do in softball, other sports, and even music to try to keep students in public schools. We now have elementary schools and middle schools, and it used to be as population growth in Orlando has boomed and we were having kids spend 52 kids in a class. We now have empty classrooms because we've lost a percentage of kids to private schools. So one of the ideas that Orange County Public Schools came up with is, hey, let's look at developing this program as a pilot program to see if it does convince parents to stay in the public school system. Now, you're not going to argue about that, would you?
No.
Okay. So it's not all the insane dad that thinks his kid is the next Bryce Harper and doesn't turn out that way. That was part of the piece that we ran. But now to get back to the part that does get under your skin, the idea of holding somebody back to advance their athletic opportunities bothers you.
Just everything about, and I've been griping on the way college athletics has turned out over, I don't even know how long.
Yeah.
Parents look at their kids and they don't see human beings. They see dollar signs.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care about letting their kids be kids, have fun, have friends, live a kid lifestyle. It's work. And eventually you're going to wear these kids out. You have kids electively getting Tommy John surgery for a faster fastball.
Correct. The numbers of youth sports participants has significantly increased. The burnout effect of how many years that they then quit has also massively increased, where kids leave youth sports much sooner than they used to. So you have more kids participating, and partly because of the travel ball world that we now live in, but you have more burnout or quicker burnout rate than you did. For example, and I should have pulled the numbers here. I think it is the average kid 20 years ago participated in youth sports for better than 6.5 years. It's now down to like 2.4 years. Like they quit because they don't want to do it. They're burnt out, or they just choose to, play video games or something like that.
We put so much pressure on these kids, and everyone thinks that they're going to be the next Jeremiah Smith or Jeremiah Love at Notre Dame, or Cam Ward, who was a 0-star recruit who went to Incarnate Ward, then Miami, then the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Let these kids be kids.
But look,
I don't understand.
I understand and agree in principle. I also would counter that not everybody takes that route. Like you mentioned Cam Ward. Okay, Cam Ward was a 0-star recruit. Okay, is he not an example of nobody wanted me, so I'm going to go earn my opportunity? It took multiple schools, but he also took advantage of a system that didn't exist 10 years ago. If today's system was like it was 10 years ago, he goes to Incarnate Word, he doesn't get the opportunity to transfer like he did when he went to a school before Miami and then ends up at Miami. So he took advantage of a system that initially told him, we don't want you. And then he proved himself and ends up being the number 1 pick of the draft. So you have that. And then the other example might be the mom and dad that decides, let's hold Johnny back in 8th grade because he'll be more mature and physically developed that will improve our Division I opportunities. And then Johnny, does the whole quarterback or whatever sport he plays, and he benefits. And he's playing at the University of Florida. I mean, not everybody.
Or you know what? You bust your ass in high school.
Yeah.
Why do you need another year of 8th grade?
Okay, when you say you bust your butt in high school, what? I mean, you're not guaranteed.
But what's the difference between staying back in 8th grade and going to high school? What's the difference? Are you not going to have the chance to more?
I'm not telling you I agree. Those that support would say, hey, another year to mature mentally and physically.
Which you can do in high school.
And to better your chance because you'd be the older player that is more developed and you'll be better and it'll open up more opportunities. I'm not telling you I agree with that. I'm just telling you that's why people do it.
So you're going to stay back and play with kids younger than you and make yourself
we already do that
better.
growing up. I mean, 10-year-olds play with 12-year-olds in Little League and sports like that.
This is so dumb.
But it's not a new trend. It's just more people do it.
And it's dumb. It is
again, I don't totally argue with you. We've done stories. We'll do more stories on the whole travel ball industry, which you and I were talking about off air.
Was it like $40 billion?
The industry is. But I also don't think that everybody, and it doesn't have to be baseball, I don't think every family that chooses that route is abusing their kid.
They see dollar signs.
But I don't think that applies. I think you think it's everybody. I don't think it's everybody.
I would say a very heavy majority.
Yeah, but you'd be making up a number. I mean, without the data to back it up, and I don't have the data either. I'm just saying that
majority.
I don't know if I'd go that far because you probably think it's like 80, 90%.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think it's that much. It's not all bad. I wouldn't do this with my kid. I mean, I had 2 daughters, and if they were excelling in sports and they played sports to a degree, and then they did theater and all the other stuff and gymnastics and cheerleading, I don't think I would do that because, one, I saw my kids' development over the years and the friends they had that I was like, why would I ever think about this? But I think I gave you this example months ago. We were talking about it. As your lovely daughter grows up, and if she takes a following to a certain sport and she is really, really good at it, the answer to questions today, you may have a different answer to that in 13 years.
I will tell you, I'm not going to hold her back.
Right. But you also don't know what opportunities will be presented. I mean, your daughter's just over 1 right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
In 13 years, okay, she'd be 14 years old. And let's say she picked up a tennis racket and was really, really, really good at it. You may face questions that you have an answer today that'll be a different answer in 13 years. If somebody came along and said, Chris, your lovely daughter is blessed with an unbelievable skill set in tennis, and these are the opportunities that are provided for her, and I'm just throwing you an example. If somebody came along and said, hey, we at IMG have a 50-year history of developing tennis players. Here's the facilities. Here's the opportunity we have. Here's the path that we could present to you. Your answer today may be significantly different in 13 years. You have to at least acknowledge that. You may at that point with your wife say, we still think we want to let her be a normal 14-year-old. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you'll be presented with a situation where your answer may be different. And if she played a team sport, if she was a great soccer player, somebody may come to you, and if she's 14 or 15 and say, listen, yeah, there's an academy in England that we'd like to have her come play. And by the way, here's a contract for X amount of dollars. Your answer today may be different.
We're just putting so much pressure on these kids, and the system is all screwed up.
But you'll acknowledge, maybe you will, maybe you won't. I don't doubt for a second, there are parents that are trying to live their athletic dreams through their kids.
Yes, 100%.
That's a dad that thinks his kid's the next Bryce Harper.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to spend those dollars training, travel ball, coaching, all that stuff, because he thinks his kid is a lock.
Mm-hmm.
And 99% of those dads are going to be disappointed because either A, their kid won't make it, or someone's going to tell them, your kid's not that good. Okay? There are going to be others that will invest in their kids because they are blessed with a talent and may make it. And that number is very small, and it doesn't mean that they're wrong to do it either.
But what are these kids supposed to do if you put all this stock into baseball, football, whatever it is?
Yeah.
They do end up flaming out, getting burned out, whatever it is.
The risk you take. Yeah.
They have no academics to fall back on.
Well, I disagree. I mean, that's not the case. There are examples of kids that go to these academic factories that academics is not even second. And that's the risk you take. There also, and again, you could get a great education at a public school. Let me repeat that. You can get I got somewhat of a great education. My kids went to private school. I paid significant money for them to go to private school. Are my kids better than you? No. But there's also a balance to that. I mean, my wife and I chose to make a massive sacrifice to send our kids. And I told this, my kids went to Lake Highland 14 years, pre-K, kindergarten, all the way through. I don't regret any of it. Well, that Excel spreadsheet maybe makes me regret some of it. There's balance. Academics mattered. At least back then, my kids couldn't participate in some things if academically they didn't do their part. That wasn't just me. That was the school. Are some schools lax that? Of course.
Like you look at someone like Arvell Reese. Like, I'm not just picking on him because he's a Giant, but he had a 0.4 GPA.
Just a rough semester. Just a rough semester.
A 0.4.
He was working on it,
Dude couldn't even name a New York Giant.
Kind of hard. We got a lot of transition in the roster with a new coach and everything. So I'm not quite sure what you're getting at. Yeah.
And I don't wish this on anyone, but he's one injury away from what is he doing?
Yeah, but that's more of what we've done to the system. Nothing ever stopped universities of keeping their academic requirements. But we gave that up years ago. And I say everybody involved gave it up years ago. Listen, I saw this story yesterday. Eastern Michigan. Okay. You ever been to Ypsilanti?
No.
Okay. I have. Okay. Eastern Michigan. No disrespect if you're an EMU grad. Okay. Although try calling a football game between UCF and Eastern Michigan, or right down the street, Ohio State's playing Michigan. At the same time. One of the great moments ever. Like there's 60 people in our stadium and there's 110. Okay. Anyway, Eastern Michigan's golf team is in the Elite Eight. Okay. They have 2 players from California that take online classes and only fly to meet the team for tournaments. We gave up hey, you want to be in our athletic teams, you got to actually go to class and practice with the team. They're breaking no rule, but I'm just saying we gave that up. We gave it up when we said, oh, no. We do football practice now in the morning, so we have more time to rehab. Yeah, but I got to go to class. No. Go see your academic advisor. You take online classes in the afternoon, but I want to go to my economics class. All right, but it better be between 2 and 4. So we gave that up years ago.
So let's stop calling it college athletics because it's not at this point.
No. It's college athletics because universities sponsor athletic teams. If you wanted an academic component, we had that, and then we gave it up. I mean, it's really hard to do other than picking on HBCU schools, which they did, to have an APR violation like they did at Florida A&M. Because trust me, if you think only HBCU schools, give me a break. Major universities have the resources to hide the academic fraud that takes place. I mean, they just know how to do it. At FAMU, they don't have the resources to do it, so they got hit with hard penalties. But you asked how Arbel Reese did that? Because Ohio State let him do it. And I don't know this, and I may be completely wrong, but I'm just saying, I don't think Ryan Day cares if Jeremiah Smith went to his lab last week. Right? I don't think Mario Cristobal is like, hey, Malachi, did you go to your American history class last week? I don't think he cares. Because he doesn't have to.
So again, why do we care about academics? Why do we have an APR then?
There's not an academic and compliance person in America that would argue that it's a joke. It's a joke. And by the way, when your school puts up that graphic of the proud GPA, you do realize that that's a fraud. I mean, it's an absolute fraud. I'm not telling you that those aren't the numbers, but how they got to that number, it's a complete fraud. It's just a complete fraud because the system is designed to make sure, hey, we put up a cool graphic for the 13th semester. We get a 3.5 GPA. If you think your team got a 3.5 GPA, like a real 3.5 GPA, then you're sleeping in the woods somewhere. Good talk, though. Back with more of the Beat of Sports next. Yesterday, the Tampa Bay Times reported that the Blazers have notified the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County that somewhere between $800 million to $1 billion for renovating Raymond James Stadium, with them chipping in about 35%. What? It is funny because they're still trying to get this race thing across the finish line. The Bucks are over here going, yeah.
So between 800 and $1 billion for renovations.
Yeah, they want part of the renovations is they want like the canopy roof that Hard Rock has, which is common with European soccer stadiums.
So why not just tear down and build a new stadium?
Huh? What? You want to do that? Sure. You want to do that? The Bucks would love that. Of course, if the baseball stadium's costing $2.3 billion, which Chris Ledvala yesterday from Pinellas County said, where the extra billion come from what they were talking about, I'm sure the Bucks would love to talk to you about a $3.5 billion stadium.
I mean, if
you're which, by the way, I'm not talking politics. I'm just saying this. Governor DeSantis, I think today is going to announce that he'd like to get rid of the property tax law in the state. A big part of the raise deal is property taxes. If you do away with it, that's a big problem for them. Like a really big problem. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like 800 to that's a third of the.
There will. Well, that's just to start now. Just to start now. Yeah. Yeah.
The world today is so messed up.
No, it's not. You pick and choose your happiness, man. You gravitate towards things that make you feel good.
Well,
Stay away from things that make you negative.
When my happiness,
like the guy that didn't want to make my $5 pizza at Fresh Market, I could have got some. You know what? Don't do it. You're smiling. How about you make my pizza? Yeah.
My happiness was sports, and now it's just
your happiness is still sports. Listen,
causing me anger, frustration.
No. True or false? If the Cowboys are in the Super Bowl, are you happy?
I would be happy.
Do you care how they got there? Would you care about salary cap and all sorts? You wouldn't care.
They abide by the salary cap.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Right.
They do.
I don't listen. The only reason there's a salary cap in the NFL is because of Jerry Jones.
There you go.
I've never. He's also the guy that said, "So let me give." Well, look, you guys got to deal with Coke, right? Yeah. Well, I got to deal with Pepsi. You can't do that. Well, guess who's changing the rules about local sponsorship? Which, by the way, he did. That paved the way for everybody else. So, yeah, you just want your teams to win. Listen, you think today I hate the NBA? No, I love it. I love it. My team's in the NBA Finals. If they get swept, this league's terrible. Massive problems. Yeah. Oh, if the Knicks play the Thunder and they lose, I will demand congressional interference in SGA's flopping. Like, we'll get to gas in a moment, okay? We got to deal with this thing first, okay? I'll pay $450. Just fix this. By the way, in Arizona, 509 we were out there. 509. Yeah.
Gross.
Big number. Yeah. Chris is gone the rest of the week.
I am.
I don't know the last time Cam did a show.
Had to have been before I came back.
Yeah, it's more than I like Cam. He'll be in, and Kelly's working Friday, and then
I would like to say that kind of speaks to my availability, my consistency.
Oh, you're incredibly reliable. Listen,
no days off.
I've been blessed in all the years since I came back here, which is what is it now? 15 years, 16 years. The people that have produced this show are incredible as far as their availability. Yeah. Just make sure you're back for Tuesday's show. Back to put a wrap on the Wednesday program next.
Time for the latest news, gossip, trends, and off-the-wall stories. Trends. Ooh.
That's the craziest thing I ever heard.
State of New Jersey and New York investigating FIFA for ticket pricing in the World Cup for the games up at MetLife. Duh. Chris, have a wonderful trip and a special time for you and your family.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate
it. Don't think about us. Just enjoy a little time away. We'll see you back here next week.
I'll still be thinking about you.
Cam will be in for Chris tomorrow. I'm here tomorrow doing the program. So we'll see you then for a Thursday edition of our program. Miss any of it? Go where you get your favorite podcast. Type of the Beat of Sports on Demand. Subscribe, download, listen when convenient for you, and always watch the video replay on our YouTube page, 96 The Game Orlando. Click on the live button, and you can watch the show back when it's convenient for you as well. Chris produced, I'm Marc Daniels. I'll see you tomorrow for the Beat of Sports.